afternoon, students. Welcome to our math class today. Our lesson is from Unit 13. We are continuing that unit. In the previous lesson, we dealt with 2D, and today we'll be looking at 3D shapes as well. So I believe that you still remember your 2D shapes, right? Your 2D shapes are shapes that are having flat surfaces and they are having 2 dimensions. In the case of the 3D, they are having 3 dimensions and they are of an object kind that we can hold. So if you look at this marker, this is a 3D shape. It means that it is physical and we can hold, and it's having all the 3 dimensions that a 3D requires. Okay, so an example of a 3D drawing, we can say a cube is a 3D drawing. A pyramid is also a 3D shape, and then we have a sphere. Okay, a sphere is also a 3D shape. The surfaces of these 3D shapes normally gives us our 2D shapes. Assuming you take a surface that's the face of your cube, you're going to get a square. Okay, so the square will be your 2D, whilst your cube becomes that of your 3D. The same way, when we take one surface of your pyramid, we're going to get a triangle, whilst your pyramid, your triangle becomes a 2D, and then your pyramid becomes a 3D. The last one that we're going to look at will be our sphere. In the case of the sphere, when you take the face, you get a circle. Okay, and the circle becomes your 2D, and your sphere becomes that of your 3D. If you move forward, we can expand some of our 3D shapes. Like a cube, it could be expanded. It means that we could spread it out. When you spread it out, you get a net. So we have a net. So a net is a 2D diagram that can be folded to make 3D shape with no gaps or overlaps. Okay, that means when we open our cube, we're going to get a picture like this, and this is what we call the net. Okay, so this net is a 2D diagram that you can fold it back, and then you're going to get your cube at the end of the day. So in most of the 3D shapes that we have, like a pyramid, tetrahedron, and then other ones that we have, you can expand the net, and then you're going to have a shape of a net, and then you can refold it back to get that of your 3D shape. Okay, so our exercise is going to it's going to give us an opportunity to do more examples on how this net actually works in relation to that of a 3D shape. Okay, so we'll have our first activity that will be from the learner's book. I want you to open to page 70 and that of 71. We are doing questions 1 up to 6. Okay, so after this exercise, we'll meet in our second video. See you. Hello students, welcome back to our second video. Our lesson is from Unit 13. We are doing 2D and 3D. Today, our lesson has been on 3D specifically. We have looked at some examples of 3D, and we have looked at how a 3D diagram or shape could be expanded in a form of a net, and when it is being folded back, you're going to have your 3D shape, and we use an example of a cube to do. Okay, so don't forget that a net is a 2D diagram that you can fold together to have a 3D shape without no gaps or that of overlaps. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to know. Whenever you have a 3D shape, that you could find that of the face, okay, and then you could find the vertex, and then you can find also the edge of it. Okay, so let's use this piece of box to demonstrate this picture that we have here. Okay, so where you have this drawing becomes the face of it. Okay, so the face is the flat surface that could either point to you, or can also point up here, or can point in the sideways. Okay, so the flat surface that you can feel is the face of your 3D, and then this straight line that you find here becomes the edge. Okay, so the edge is where two of the surfaces are meeting. Okay, so the edge becomes this straight line. That is the edge, because this surface and this surface are meeting over here, so that becomes your edge. Now with the vertex, that is where two or more edges are meeting. Okay, so this is one edge, this is another edge, and another edge, and they meet on this point here. So the point here that they are meeting becomes your vertex. Okay, so that is your vertex. So that is the point of meeting of two or more edges of a 3D diagram. Okay, so this diagram can also be unfolded and is going to be in the shape of a net, and when you fold it back, you're going to have your diagram back at the same time. Okay, so on this note, we will go straight away onto our second activity, and that can be found at the Skills Builder book section. You open at page 50 and that of 51. You are doing questions 4 and 5. Okay, so when you take your book to Skills Builder, you will find pages 50 and that of 51. Again, we are going to use the resource page. Okay, so the resource page, you go to the back of your book to pages 81 and that of 82. Okay, so that is at the back of your book, and this is how it looks like. Okay, it looks like this. This is the resource book. So we're going to use resource 6. Okay, resource 6 net. We use this to answer question 4, and then you move to question 5. Okay, once you have understood this section, we will pause here, and then you do your exercise, and afterwards we'll meet in our final video. Students, welcome back to our lesson on 3D and that of 2D shape. I believe that you have enjoyed our 2 sections already. This is the last video that we are making on this lesson. 2D shapes, you remember, those are 2-dimensional forms of shapes, and in the case of a 3D, they are the 3-dimensional shapes that you can always draw. Examples, we have 2 examples here. In the previous video, we've shown you some other examples. In your textbook too, you also have some more examples of 3D shapes that you can make. Again, your exercises has also demonstrated to you that most of the 3D shapes could be unfolded, could be expanded in the form of a net, and then it can be refolded back to that particular 3D shape that you were dealing with. So a net again is a 2D diagram that can be folded to make a 3D shape with no gaps or overlaps. Okay, so you don't have to forget your net, the meaning of a net. Again, whenever you have a 3D shape, you should be able to identify which sides are the face, those are the flat faces, and which sides are the edge. You have to also remember your edges, and then when you are asked of the vertex, you have to be able to also show where the vertices are. So these are like the angle. Okay, those are the places that the lines are meeting, and they become like an angle for you. Okay, so this is all about our lesson for 2D and that of 3D shapes. and we'll have our homework from the challenge book. That will be from pages 44 and that of 45. You are doing questions 1 up to 3. These are practical questions that you have to use pieces of papers and other things to make at home to get your 3D shapes. In case of any difficulty in understanding, you let me know for other further explanation to you. Thank you, and I appreciate your cooperation and your attention. I'll see you again next week, Tuesday. Goodbye.